about 2 hours. They had water about top of the moon moving, and then 2 hours later, the roads were gone. I saw a time lapse of a video lady. Yeah,
She took one?
Yeah, it was about 11:30, 12 o'clock. And like I said, there's enough water over to cover the top of your boot. And then 206, you had another video, and it was just roads just gone. Debris everywhere. It's crazy.
In case we haven't met, my name is Marlon. I cut and sew tactical gear for Stratagem branch. I served 11 years in the United States Marine Corps. My job field was field artillery. I had an additional qualification as a joint terminal attack controller. I recently had the privilege of joining Keystone Dynamic Solutions in response to Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina. As a member of that team, I primarily assisted in air operations, and this is some of the equipment that I used. We'll start first with communications. This headset is a Pelter Comtac 5, I believe, on loan from my best friend Patrick, so shout out PCH. Very reliable headset. I've used Pelter Comtacs, dual com, single com, different down leads, many variations, never had any issues, so they always come with my recommendation. On my chest rig, which you can guess who made, this is a U94 push-to-talk, very simple, very reliable. So continue to use that into 2024. My radio for this operation was a military multi-band handheld, so that 6-pin connection was compatible with that push-to-talk. Talking over the chest rig, this is the Burrow Type 5, the placard. It kind of represents the probably the biggest of the micro rig class. So you do have the ability to store up to 4 M4 AR-15 magazines. But in this case, I only actually have 2 carbine magazines, and then the rest are tools that were more peculiar for this mission. This wing here is special. I made this within 24 hours of going out into western North Carolina. And there's a line here where there's the adhesive label from a jug of apple cider. So my favorite apple cider is from a farm in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And they were severely affected by the Helene incident. So I used that cut of plastic from the jug to stiffen the embedder wing here. So this is for an embedder radio. So kind of a one-off. I've made a few of these for similar size radios before, for my own deployments and other teammates. On the up top pistol pouches, left here, I've got H&K P2000 magazine, so that's for my own personal sidearm. And then in this one, I just have a nice little multi-tool. My front pouch. This is a continuous pouch, so some of you are familiar with the design. For those who are not, opening here, you have access all the way out to there. So that probably didn't explain anything. This is a medical organizer insert from AXL Advanced. This is a Tigris material that you kind of use as a nice trade. So I'll pull it out. Kind of see, this is some of the medical equipment, not all that I carry on my person, but that's a nice to have. And then on the right side, these are additional batteries for a mini SE drone from DJI. So I have the controller here, and then an old EOTech box is where I store the airframe. And you can see, small drone, you can launch it from the palm of your hand, and I got some spare parts in there, and I keep it in this nice box. And then now with this front pouch completely open, you can see continuous. Behind the burrow is this, also from AXL Advanced. I believe it's called the sandwich pouch. I like storing pens, but also things I don't want to lose, like my car keys, zip ties, cash. There's a lot of good uses for it. I have a little light there in case I need to look into it. So it's cool. The choice to run these two magazines, I like 20 round magazines, but I also like them in this role because I was able to keep them flush with the, the top of the chest rig. And that helped reduce my profile a bit on what sort of weapon related gear I was carrying. I mean, there's no hiding that I was wearing a chest rig. There is somewhat of a military or, tactical appearance that goes with that, but at least being able to play down with some of the armament that you have, that's one way to do it, all right? You might have different feelings about that, but that was just a way to still have spare magazines in case I needed to employ a carbine, but without really drawing more attention than necessary. And it was more than just the internet looking at what gear you're wearing. I mean, everyone around you is curious who you are. GPS, most phones these days, Android, iPhone, they all have built-in GPS, a lot of applications that provide you excellent navigation tools. So this is an older model, but it's nice to have as a redundancy. So that's good for when those other devices are of no longer use. Kestrel weather meter. This is just a basic model, but I do use this to keep track of change in barometric pressure. I like to give altimeter readings to aircraft. This will pull wind speed at your position. I use that a bit, but I like making wind calls too, because one thing I noticed out there in the mountains is that at the LZ, the winds may have been like 0 to 1 on the actual grass. But just, 30 feet above aloft, it was like 20-mile-per-hour wind. So it was very good to read the trees and report that to the inbound aircraft. This harness here is special. This is something I've developed, and it is double-lined Velcro and allows you to attach this bridge, which is currently occupied by this S&S Precision a flip light mount. I'm sure you're going to appreciate me sharing this. This mount is not tailored for one phone. It's not only for an iPhone Model X. It's not only for Samsung Model S that. Whatever can fit into this like footprint and then captive with these silicone bands is what works. And in this case, this is an older, I believe, an S8 that I had. There's no SIM card, so I just run this for ATAC and the drone software. So it's a cold phone, and they make a thing called a weather jacket in case you want to like protect it from the elements. Maybe it's out of habit, I just keep it exposed. But really easy to install, very cool piece of gear. Drew a lot of interest actually from some of the pictures that we had been sharing on Instagram. And again, that easy installation and removal. This is the bridge that I've developed. And in conjunction with this harness, you have a lot of vertical adjustments. So this puts it right above my magazines where I want it. It's not too close. And it's got a bib. In that bib, I just kept the communications plan that was like statewide with the emergency services. Some of the illumination tools I use include this mod light. It's a handheld flashlight with a PHVL2 head, so it is not the most focus beam offered by mod light, but the return at distance the illumination provides is just very impressive. I highly recommend it for everybody, especially those in public safety. This is a phantom light. These are typically issued in kits for fixed wing airfield marking. I found this in a military surplus store outside of Fort Bragg. No one knew what it was. I did, and I was like, hey, you know what, that'd make a good memento. I have experience with these. Turns out I also put it to recent use. Multiple functions to include different colors, steady and flash. And then this thing here is not a diode, it's actually a cap that protects an antenna port. The antenna is to use to remotely activate by radio frequency. So I'll show you, it goes on a nice flash function. Yep. So phantom light. Don't really see the need for people to go and try to buy these, but hey, if you see them at a military surplus store, that's a good buy. I'm not sponsored by S&S Precision, but here's another one of their products. This is a V-Light. They're kind of, as my understanding, they're technically disposable, but they last a very long time. They allow you to select different colors, and you can mark yourself, mark something of interest, whatever it might be, but they typically come with this Velcro attachment. So they go nicely on your gear, your helmet, what have you. Good piece of kit to have, and it's very light, very small. Now talking about helmets, this is my personal helmet. This is a Crye airframe. It is a ballistic helmet. It's the only helmet I owned. If I had more options, I would have probably brought something more carbon fiber bump for the the mission that we had. But this is the gear that I was able to roll out with. So beginning up front, this is a LOL 21 goggles, night vision goggles from Low Light Innovations. This is an older version of their 3D printed housing. I did break the dovetail mount. That's why it's zip tied. But otherwise, no loss of function, able to continue mission with those zip ties. I'm pretty sure I'm due for an upgrade, so looking at this, I'll reach out to them. But I can't recommend the system enough. It's very lightweight. I like it's very similar to the PVS 31. We're able to, I believe it's articulate them, condense them a bit. So very nice for storage and adjustment to your eyes. Runs off a battery pack. So this is actually a product I made. It's an improvement of the Spiritus lid snake, which lid snakes are awesome. The downfall is with the lid snake, you cannot run a lot of 90-degree connectors or large serial connectors that won't necessarily pass through the 3/4 inch nylon. So in this design, you actually have the ability to open up the channel and then run your cable. So we call that the wire path. I'll be offering those on the website very soon. And then this is a battery pack that comes organic to the LOL 21. It is 4 AA's, and I run them rechargeable. S&S Precision strobe. This is a Manta strobe. They've been around probably more than a decade now. Really only improvement I think over the last few years is these aluminum tail caps. Green, white, infrared, very cool. Another S&S Precision product is this max mount, and the only thing I would change here is I have a B.E. Myers Kiji head, and I'm gonna swap out. So this is just a Surefire Scout mini head, and it works great. But that was something identified as like, wow, I probably could have marked a lot of stuff for aircraft with a powerful infrared illuminator, and done so from my helmet. So that was a capability that I will now have next time. So yeah, I like this helmet. If you find a Crye airframe for a good price, go ahead and buy it. Oh, camera. This is something that I got from Dynamic Fuzz. He makes a lot of products. So like little covers that'll go on headsets, even for that flip light mount. He makes those as well. And he sold me this contour cam, and I was glad to put it to use. It's just cool. It's light, sits on the side of your helmet, and you just give it a little bump and you start recording and get some footage. That footage can be anything from your own personal use to sharing with your teammates on stuff you saw while you were out. And that's something that we frequently discussed was obstacles in the area of operations, and just some of the other hazards out there.
Hey, release the wind.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Hey, remember that one time we got stuck in the river?
I am a volunteer. I left the armed forces in June of 2024, and while I did coordinate and help land military aircraft, I no longer have that affiliation officially. Some of the aircraft landed as well were for Operation Airdrop, Hilo, and Samaritan's Purse. So it was just an amazing thing to see. So many volunteer and civilian pilots that were bringing supplies and even transport for people of need out in Western North Carolina. Going forward, I do think that this event's probably not going to be too unique. Volunteers are going to outpace the government response, and this was an excellent exercise of that, I guess, grassroots movement of people getting assistance out there, and they call it the haulers. So I was very fortunate, in a sense, to be a part of that, and it was an honor. This is really how you give back to your country, in my opinion. Some other reflections I, can openly share. I think if you are a veteran and you're, a lot of us, especially from my generation of veteran, serve in years kind of interim between conflicts, or only certain units go, and you kind of have that sense of you haven't really fulfilled your service, right? Some people might say, okay, hey, you did your years, and that's very admirable. But internally, you've had that discussion with yourself, and it's just not enough. So, yeah, I mean, the next disaster, the next crisis, go. You'll find other veterans to link up with, just as I did. And the things that you guys will accomplish are going to be amazing. You're going to do it faster and longer and better than everybody else, in my opinion, because you're taking the best qualities of your training and your experiences, and you're applying them with the urgency of your American brothers and sisters. So I can't convey that enough. Really look to be a part of the next one. And this isn't over. In Western North Carolina, a lot of the operations have kind of cooled off, but they're still going to be in dire need of fuel. The power has been cut off. In a lot of places, they're isolated. So difficult river crossings have to be made, unsafe ones at times, just to get supplies to some of these people that are, they're not on an island, but with the roads being degraded and destroyed, it might as well be.